What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Afcon, and it's the round of 16 predictions. Last week, we had a pretty good game week. We got 10 out of 12 correct results, just Mali and Tunisia throwing away their games and drawing let us down. But now, there are 16 teams remaining. Obviously, this series started off as a thank you for 40,000 subscribers, and I have to say now, thank you so much for 50,000. Another thing that I am doing for the year of 2026 is another thing that I'm bringing to the Patreon. It is League On Predictions. So if you click the top link in the description and join the Patreon, not only do you get shout-outs in every single video like everyone flashing up on your screen, you get exclusive members tips and accumulators, stake building challenges, you can message me directly, but as well as all the predictions I do on YouTube, you get my predictions for every single League On game. So click that top link in the description to join the Patreon. Massive shout out again to GDeb for winning the $100 giveaway. Hopefully we can do some more of those in the future. But now, let's get straight in with Afcon, and it's the round of 16. And still, there's some pretty one-sided fixtures going into these knockouts. The first game we do have is Senegal up against Sudan. Now, Senegal obviously won their group on 7 points along with DR Congo. Senegal won it on goals scored. They actually both only conceded the one goal, and that was against each other. So Senegal having a great time with Afcon so far, and Sudan qualified with one of the third place finishes. They managed to beat Equatorial Guinea, and they lost to Algeria and Burkina Faso. So Sudan, they are struggling a little bit in this tournament. I think they're quite fortunate to have made it to the knockout stages. A couple of third place teams in the groups only finishing on just 2 points. I think Mali qualified without even winning a game, if I'm not mistaken. If we get, Mali, they did score 2, they let into, they've qualified to the knockouts without even winning a single game. But this game should be quite straightforward. I don't think it's going to necessarily be really high scoring. I think some of the games in the round of 16 do look like they might be a bit higher scoring, but they're a bit later on in this video. This one, I think it's going to be low scoring, simple enough. It might even be 0-0 half-time, but I could see it being maybe 1-0 half-time, 2-0 full-time. I'm going for a 2-0 win to Senegal. The tip is going to be Senegal win to 0. The odds are 1.44, and they're that low because there really is very little chance of Sudan scoring. I think Senegal will get the job done. Afterwards, we move on to Mali up against Tunisia. Tunisia finished second in the group behind Nigeria, only on 4 points, bear in mind. And Mali, as I said, they finished second in their group by remaining undefeated with a couple of 1-1 draws in there and a 0-0 as well. They should have scored in that 0-0 draw, getting them the win and making their group stage look a bit convincing. But hey, they are still yet to taste defeat in this competition, whereas Tunisia, of course, lost to Nigeria, as we did predict on this channel. However, I just haven't been impressed with Mali in their ability to get matches over the line. They literally haven't won, as I've said many times this video, so it's difficult for me to predict anything other than a Tunisia win. I think it's going to be very, very low scoring, however. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Tunisia, but the tip is under 2.5 goals. The odds are only 1.4. Again, really low because it's very likely. I expect both teams will adopt a cautious approach. Tunisia should have the quality to at least qualify past this Mali side and probably should be looking to win this in the 90 minutes, and I'm just going to go for that 1-0 win. After this, we have probably one of the most one-sided games of the round of 16. It is Morocco up against Tanzania. Now, Tanzania, they haven't won this whole competition. They lost to Nigeria, and they drew with Tunisia with a late goal, and they drew with Uganda as well. Morocco, on the other hand, are looking very, very good. They've got 7 points. They drew with Mali, but again, they were way better than Mali. They've scored 6. Conceded 1. I think Morocco win this one very convincingly. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Morocco. They play some brilliant stuff, and the tip is going to be Morocco win to 0 at odds of 1.5 because I thought about Morocco -1 handicap, but the odds are also 1.5, and I'd like to keep the 1-0 on side because in a knockout competition, teams don't care if they go through 1-0, 7-0 on penalties. It doesn't matter. They just need to get through. So I'm keeping the 1-0 on side. The tip is Morocco win to 0 at odds of 1.5. Now, after this, we have an absolutely incredible fixture that almost didn't happen. It is South Africa up against Cameroon. Now, Cameroon did what they needed to do, winning on the last game week. They were playing Mozambique, and Gabon were beating an Ivory Coast side who fielded kind of a second strength 11, and then They put on their first team players, a lot of them, they made subs, and Ivory Coast scored 2 late goals to go from second in the group to first in the group, meaning that instead of Ivory Coast playing South Africa, which is what it really looked like was going to happen, Cameroon now have to play South Africa. Now, I'm going to go for a little bit of an upset here. Cameroon are the favourites to win this tie, but I'm going to go against the grain. I think South Africa have been playing some really good and really exciting football this competition. They did lose 1-0 to Egypt. They went 1-0 down before half-time, and then they were playing against 10 men. And really, they should have got something from that game, and they looked pretty good in their other games as well. They were dominant in their other games. So I'm going to say that South Africa win 2-1. I could honestly see it going either way. Cameroon, they did go behind, I believe, against Mozambique as well in what was a must-win game for them. So they are susceptible. So the tip is going to be both teams to score. The odds are 1.9. Probably the lowest odds you're going to get for both teams to score in Afcon, because although both teams to score has happened a fair few times, the odds rarely suggest that it will. I'm going to back South Africa to qualify to the quarterfinals. After this, we travel to Egypt up against Benin. Now, Benin have been okay, not too bad. They basically did what they needed to do and dispatched of Botswana. That's what they needed to do to get third place, and they managed it. So Benin, they've done well to get to this stage, essentially off the back of that win against a weak Botswana side. Egypt finished top of a difficult group, beating South Africa despite being down to 10 men. I think Egypt are going to win this one quite easily. I'm going to say Egypt to win 2-0. And the tip is Egypt to win, odds of 1.48, which is pretty much the same odds as Senegal and Morocco both win to 0. And I make them similar favourites. So I like that Egypt to win, the odds are this high. I know, potentially they could concede because they've been conceding in most of their recent games, but I think they will have enough to beat Benin, whatever happens. So Egypt to win is the tip. Now we move on to Nigeria up against Mozambique. Nigeria boasting 9 points from 9, along with only one other team, and that is Algeria, who we'll get to in a minute. And Mozambique, what an incredible tournament it's been for them. They took the lead against Cameroon. Maybe could have got something there. I think Cameroon deserved winners in the end. But also, their random win against Gabon. They should not have beaten Gabon on paper, but on the day, they absolutely toyed with them. I mean, Gabon, you could have a whole video about them. The Gabonese government officially, I think, have disbanded the national team in the sense they fired everyone, all the coaching staff, and if I'm not mistaken, Aubameyang is banned from playing for Gabon. I have never seen a sort of reaction, an explosion, a self-destruction quite like that. Now, they had a bad tournament, but disbanding the team essentially is wild, and I feel like it's something that you'd only really get from an Afcon. So incredible scenes. Gabon obviously down and out, 3 losses, but Mozambique essentially the architects of that downfall with their 3-2 win over Gabon, but incredible result for them. This is going to be a step too far. Nigeria, obviously we're rooting for them here on this channel. The most frequent viewer, African viewer on this channel is from Nigeria. We're supporting them together, and as a neutral, I've backed on Nigeria from the beginning. We tipped them to beat Tunisia. Amongst a lot of people disagreeing in the comments, they did. 9 points out of 9. I'm going to say Nigeria win this one 3-1. I was very, very close to saying Nigeria and both teams to score, which is insane. I think the odds are above 5 again, like they were with Tunisia. But I'm just going to say Nigeria and over 1.5 goals at 1.66. Because then if Mozambique score and Nigeria win, obviously over 1.5 has happened, but it keeps a 2-0 onside. I think Nigeria are going to win. They are, I believe, they are the top scorers of the tournament so far. They've scored 8, and they are. So Nigeria to win 3-1, Nigeria and over 1.5 goals. We now travel to the next fixture, which is Algeria up against the Democratic Republic of Congo, which promises to be a very interesting game. Algeria, one of the only 2 teams with Nigeria on 9 points, but Congo, they're on 7 points. They came second on the group on goals scored because they had the same head-to-head with Senegal. They drew, so it was decided on goals scored, and Senegal were just a little bit more prolific in front of goal. But Congo looking pretty strong. They've only conceded the 1 goal. That was against Senegal. But Algeria look really good too. They didn't even have to win the game, their third game, but they absolutely dominated it. And I just think Algeria are going to win again. They've actually looked really good. Some teams in this tournament have picked up wins despite maybe not looking great. Even the likes of Egypt with their late winner early on in the tournament. But Algeria have looked commanding. They've looked dominant. They've scored 7. They've conceded 1. And that was a late consolation goal against Sudan. So up until the 80th minute, I think it was, of their third game, they played the group stage, conceding 0 and scoring 7. They look really, really good. So I'm just going to say that Algeria win this one 2-1. And I think the odds are pretty decent of Algeria to win at odds of above evens 2.05. And finally, a massive game. It is Ivory Coast up against Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, as a nation, have had some really good years recently, and they look good. They played well in their group stages. They won the first game, they lost to Algeria, but then they won the third game as well. And they didn't necessarily need to win that, and they did dominate. So they are going to cause Ivory Coast some problems. And Ivory Coast, it was looking scandalous against Gabon. It really was. First of all, the coach's team selection was wild. I don't know why. I know that they were likely obviously going to qualify at least through, I guess, I don't know, third place. But that was essentially a must-win game for them to allow them to get an easier fixture going forward in the knockouts. And the coach picked that team. And then, obviously, when they were losing to Gabon, they brought on the better players, and Ivory Coast scored 2 late winners and got the win that saw them top the group, which they always should have done without that drama. But Burkina Faso, I mean, you look at the first game against Equatorial Guinea, 1-0 down, even though they're playing against 10 men, and then scoring 2 goals in stoppage time to win it. That has brought them here. It was an incredible performance. I think it ends here. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. It will not be easy for Ivory Coast, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. And for all of the reasons that I've just stated, instead of going for the result market, the tip is going to be both teams to score. The odds are 2.25. I think that's really, really good. Ivory Coast look vulnerable. They conceded 2 to Gabon. Burkina Faso scored 2 in their last game, but they also did concede as well. So they conceded to 10 men as well on the first day. So I think both teams to score is a really good look. That will, of course, bring us a final of Tunisia up against Senegal, Egypt up against Ivory Coast, Algeria against Nigeria, and South Africa against Morocco. But that is going to do it for my Afcon round of 16 predictions and tips. Make sure you do leave a like down below and hype the video as well. Get your comments in below. Let me know which nation you're watching from. I love those comments on these videos, all of the engagement. It's been really, really awesome. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next video very soon.